will also require restraint. The Special Committee on Palestine is definite progress. We realize that whatever the solution recommended by the General Assembly, it cannot be ideally satisfactory to either of the two great peoples primarily concerned. While the final decision of this must properly await the detailed consideration of the report, the government of the United States gives great weight not only to the recommendations which have met with the unanimous approval of the Special Committee, but also to those which have been approved by the majority of that committee. I turn now to the Moscow Agreement. For about 2 years, the United States government has been trying to reach agreement with the Soviet government through the Joint Commission and otherwise on methods of implementing the Moscow Agreement and thus bringing about the independence of Korea. The United States representatives have insisted that any settlement of the Korean problem must in no way infringe the fundamental democratic right of freedom of opinion. That is still the position of my government. Today, the independence of Korea is no further advanced than it was 2 years ago. Korea remains divided at the 38th parallel with the Soviet forces in the industrial north and the United States forces in the agricultural south. There is little or no exchange of goods or services between the two zones. Korea's economy is thus crippled. The Korean people, the inability of the Security Council to take effective action in this case, passes a grave responsibility to the General Assembly. I am confident that the General Assembly will not fail to meet this responsibility. It must do so if the organization is to carry out its fundamental purposes. The United States delegation, in which I shall not make any attempt to go further into the substance of this question, but simply as a matter of procedure. One of the subjects on the agenda of the General Assembly, which opens its second regular session tomorrow, is the Greek question. This matter is clearly one of great importance and one which is bound to engage the full attention of the Assembly. I feel convinced that every delegation present for this difficult problem, which is
the Security Council dated September 11. 3.
In Yugoslavia to cease and desist from rendering further assistance or support to the guerrillas in Greece. Establish a commission to assist in the
American press used, for instance, and I am quoting the New York Times again, the following phrase, I quote, "For an hour and 3/4, the ambassador lectured the Greek leaders," unquote, thus depicting exactly the degree of dependency upon the United States of those men who are supposed